Hi again. I've been out shopping today trying to learn a few things about my computer. And the story I'm going to tell this time is not funny. I wish it was. But with the things that have been happening in our country in the last 2 or 3 days, and I don't have to go over that with you because all of you know about it, the disturbance that disturbs me greatly. I won't even express my own feelings about it. It's just that I don't know how we can live in such a wonderful country and be destroying ourselves from within. We don't have to worry about North Korea. We're going to do it ourselves. But this brought to mind something I had in my files, and I thought I would read it to you. I can't tell it to you because it's a letter. It's a letter that was written by my grandmother's sister. Her name was Martha Neville Gilpin. This is a story about my great-grandfather and his 4 sons. He was married twice, and he had 19 children. He was a very well-to-do farmer. You might say he was a plantation owner, and he had slaves in the South. But he was good to his slaves, and when the war began, the story I'm going to tell you in this letter will explain it all. So listen closely, because I think it will strike a few heartstrings, and you may even have to pull out your Kleenex, because I've got mine handy, because I'm an emotional person, and you might see it happen in this. So let me read this and listen closely. This is a portion of a letter written by Martha Neville Gilpin, daughter of George Washington Neville. It was found many years after the death of my dad's grandfather. Now, this is a letter that was written over 100 years ago. At the outbreak of the Civil War, George W. Neville and his 4 older sons upheld the Union cause, notwithstanding the fact that the emancipation of slaves would mean the loss of much wealth to the Neville family. George W. Neville Sr. had 30 slaves set free by the war, and George W. Neville Jr. and his 2 sisters had 20 slaves freed. But however, that was no object between the Nevilles and their duty. They believed that a man, to be true to himself, must be true to his fellow man and to his country. They also firmly believed that the division of their grand union meant the downfall of a nation and the crumbling of a great republic. When the voice of the nation called, they answered bravely and promptly, and of those 4 brothers who went gallantly to the front, only one ever came back to comfort the heart of a frail and declining mother. The others had been laid to rest with the soldiers' honors. Bishop Neville, for the last 40 years a Baptist preacher and living near Kansas City, Missouri, was the only one of the 4 who survived the war. He saw active service for 3 years in the 1st Tennessee Cavalry and was wounded 3 times, once seriously and twice slightly. Another time, he was saved from death by a suspender buckle. A musket ball, well spent, struck the suspender buckle on the left side and fortunately was turned. The old man will tell you in a husky voice of the good old days before the war, and he will tell you of the horrors of the war and the 3 noble sons who went to war never to return. They were good boys, he will add, and a tear will trickle down the old withered cheek. Down on the farm stands an old gate. It stands there all alone, just the gate and two posts, like a monument to the sad sweet memories of the past. The timbers are very rotten and can hardly hold together. He will point to it with a trembling hand and in a husky shaking voice tell you that is the last work that Garrett did on the farm before he joined the army. Garrett died at Shiloh, but the gate is still preserved on the old farm at home, a monument to the memory of one so beloved. Two of the younger sons went through the Spanish-American War. Mr. Neville enjoys remarkable good health for a man of his age, but his eyesight has been failing rapidly in the last few years. The fact grieves him very much, as he always took a deep interest in public affairs and never failed to read his daily paper. Very few men were better informed on current events than Mr. Neville's, so long as he could see to read. He has always been a very active, energetic man, and no longer than a half-dozen years ago, he looked personally after the interest of his big 1,200-acre farm, riding here and there on a sleek horse, giving direction to farm hands, and looking after the work in a way that would have done credit to a man many years younger. Since then, he has given up the superintending of the farm owing to failing health and eyesight, and he recently divided most of the land among the younger children. For several years, he has held an annual reception for his children and grandchildren, at which time he presents each one of the children with a check for $100, and in case the parent is dead, the check is given to the grandchildren. As there are 11 living children, and 4 of those who have passed away have left heirs to represent them, there are 15 such checks given at each reception. Now, this was my great-grandfather. He died at the age of 103. He established 2 or 3 churches in that part of the country. He was a good man. And this story took place 150 years ago, something that we are trying to bring up today. And for what reason, I don't understand. But when I thought about this, I thought this is a good time to read this letter so that maybe some people can understand what it was really like for the people of the South. It was just as bad, if not worse, than the people of the North. And why are we fighting about it today? Why are we burning flags? As I said, we don't need North Korea. We're doing a good job of destroying ourselves. I hope you will take this letter to heart, because I'm sure many of you had ancestors who went through the same trials and troubles and heartache. So that's my story for today. Thank you.